Hey everyone, and welcome to your C# tutorial on arrays. I've got Visual Studio pulled up here with our boilerplate code ready to go, and you might have noticed that I have a little puppy here today too. She's been making a lot of noise, so just to keep her quiet, I have her sitting in my lap here. So if you see a dog's head pop up, you know that it's just my dog, Georgie. Okay, so let's jump into our code. To begin this lesson on arrays, let's revisit our old friend, the string variable. We're going to call it name. And so previously, we had a few of the instances of this string variable. So we've had name, name2, so that's Simone. And then we'll say even name3, I think we had an instance of in one tutorial. Dave. So when we have a lot of similar variables, it's useful to be able to group them together, right? And that's what arrays allow us to do. So an array is a single variable that can contain multiple values, right? So an array is a single variable that can contain multiple values. And it contains these values in sort of a list format. So let's say that we want to organize these name variables into an array format. How do we do that? So it starts by declaring an array. So let's begin by declaring an array. And so you declare an array in the same way that you declare anything else. It starts with a type, right? And since the type of value that we want to store in the array is a string variables, string values, then we're going to create an array that is the type of string. So we also need to tell the computer that, hey, this is not just a normal string, this is a string array, right? We're going to have multiple strings in this list of strings. So we do that by using these straight brackets. And so this tells the computer, hey, we're going to have a list of strings, and we want to organize that list in an array. And now we can add the array name. So we'll say list of names. So this is our array name, and we'll end it with a semicolon there. Cool. So this is our array declaration, right? And so our array declaration has a type of values that will be held in the array. It has the straight brackets to indicate it is an array, and it has a name, right? And so we'll say that this is array declaration. It has these three things. So this is your array declaration. So now let's go and do an array assignment. And so we're going to use our list of names variable, and we'll say it's equal to a new array of type string. And then we'll start our straight braces here. And we're going to say that the number of elements or the number of items in the array is 3, because we're going to store these 3 strings up here. So this is our assignment. Let's go over our parts for this. So we use the name and the assignment operator like we normally do. So we're familiar with that, but we use this new keyword. The new keyword tells the computer to, so we'll say new, tells the computer to set aside memory. So it's basically telling the computer, hey, set aside enough memory for a string variable And then it actually says 3 string variables. So then we say new, it tells the computer set aside memory, type of array, which tells the computer what value will be stored. That's this string. And then a number inside of our straight brackets here. And we'll say number inside straight brackets. And that indicates number of values that will go in the array. Cool. So this is our array assignment here, right? We have the new keyword, which tells the computer to set aside space and memory. We have the number, which says we're going to have 3 items in our array. And we have the type of the array, which says we're going to have 3 items that are of this type. Because remember, setting aside space and memory is different for an integer than it is for a string. Okay, cool. So we have our array declaration and our array assignment. Now let's access elements of the array. So just to do another quick definition, I don't mean to be too definition heavy, but this is important stuff. So we'll say element, right? So an element in an array is a value in the array. So it's like an item in the array or a value in the array. So we access, and this, for example, this array has 3 elements in it. So we can access those elements using the straight bracket operator. So all we do to access an element is we can say list of names, straight bracket, and then we put in the index of the array. Number that represents an element's place in the array. So an index is a number that represents an element's place in the array. So in arrays, the indexes start at 0, right? So it starts at 0. So the first element in the array is going to be at index 0, like this. So now, by doing this, we've accessed the first element of our array. And our first element right now is nothing. So what we can do is we can assign our first element to be the value of name variable up here, which is Pete. So now in our list of names, we have our first name as Pete. And remember, arrays start at 0. This can be kind of confusing for new programmers, new developers. So now let's access our second element in the array. And we're going to assign that to be name2. And with a semicolon, and we'll do the same thing for our third element. We're going to have that be name3. Perfect. So now we have a full array of names. Let's go through, and in our console write line, we can access these elements now by using the straight brackets and our index. So I'm going to do a console write line and print out the first element of the list of names. Then I'm going to copy this, paste it twice, and we will print out the second and the third element in our list of names. So let's run our program, and let's see what happens. Cool. So we see that we've printed out Pete, Simone, and Dave. Pete is our first element of the array, and we did that by using the name variable. So the name variable passed the value Pete into this first element of our list of names array. Then we went down to the second element in our array, and we passed in name2 variable, which took the value of Simone and passed it into this second element. And the same thing for name3, it took the value Dave and assigned it to our list of names third element. Cool, so that's the basics of arrays in C#. We have our declaration right here, where we declare that there's going to be an array. Our assignment, where we assign a memory location for the array. We set aside enough space for 3 strings in this example. And then we accessed the array. And we accessed the array by just using our straight brackets and the index of the array. I'll add that note here. And I'll start a new line. All right. So there you have it. That is arrays in C#.